Anyway, when the researchers identified that gene, by the way, they called it the vampire gene. Just let them live forever. Whatever, sounds like a fun study to me. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about some a kind of an interesting pair of topics. They are definitely connected to each other, and I'll explain as we move along how they're connected. But yet they're really different from each other. And we're going to start with motivation. Okay? Motivation is pretty cool. The motive in Latin means to move, right? So a motivation is a need, it energizes behavior, it directs behavior. Motivation is the reason you get up in the morning, right? It's like the reason that you do the things you do. Here, for example, if you ever heard this movie will scare the bejesus out of you. So he was hiking out somewhere and he got his arms trapped in Utah, and it's somehow trapped in a boulder. And he's out there in the woods and he starts to die of starvation. And at some point he's like, what am I going to do? I ain't got nothing. And he does what you might imagine he would do. Well, you can guess he did, right? And he cut it off, okay? Yeah. Was that?
It's a movie, right?
Yeah, there was a movie about it. I can't remember the name, but you definitely want to close your eyes when that happens. No, that's the best part? No, you want to close your eyes. That shit was crazy. So he himself, he claims afterwards that the motivation he had was by a dream he had of a one-armed man picking up a young boy. And he claims that is the thing that gave him the ability to do that. Oh. I don't know. So when it comes to motivation and understanding motivation, there are a variety of ways of understanding behaviors. In one way, instinct. That is, why does a bird fly south for the winter, right? Why do they migrate? Instinct. You don't have to have any complicated explanation for that behavior. The reason that duck flew south was instinct, okay? So in some ways, we might even refer to, here, why did this bird build this nest? Because it's what birds do, right? There's nothing more complicated. I'm not sure, you see here we've got a pregnant woman, and the implication is that she has an instinct to make a home for the baby, something like that, right? And I don't know, so maybe. Drive reduction theory of motivation is kind of interesting. And this is the idea that a drive. Okay, how about this? Let's say, for example, I will have to perhaps draw it. The easiest one to describe is actually temperature. So, okay, that's interesting, huh? All right. So, do you know what the average human body temperature is?
It's like 98.6 or something like that?
98.6, all right? 98.6. By the way, it's hilarious. That was the established number in the 1800s, and everybody has stuck with that forever. But today, the average temperature is closer to 97.5. And the reason is because in the 1800s, when that number was established, there was a lot more parasites and bacteria, and the human body needed to run the immune system all the time. And this immune system functioning was what raised the body temperature almost a full degree. So it's no longer true, but it is the number that we run with. So I'll just use it, keep it there. And so what's going to happen, okay, is if your body falls below 98.6 degrees, you're here, okay, you're 97.2. Guess what's going to happen? That's going to create a drive. Now, hunger and thirst, but I like this one because I got a number I can put on it. So, cold, okay? We don't like this state. This is an undesirable state. I am now motivated perform behaviors to get rid of this undesirable state, whether it be hungry, thirsty, or cold. Okay? So I will perform very specific behaviors that are intended to move up. So what am I going to do if I'm cold? I am going to put on a sweater. I'm going to stand in the sunshine. I'm going to start a campfire. Depends on where I'm at. But the behaviors will be very much focused towards bringing me back to 98.6. If your body temperature is 102, you're going to be motivated to perform behaviors that bring you back to 98.6. And it's going to be the same idea here with hunger and thirst, all right? If we're hungry, we're going to perform behaviors that will get us back to our desired point here. You see that? So that's the idea of it, is that there is this desired level of something that we have. If we're out of balance, call it a drive. Often this is making reference to homeostasis, which is a word that comes very much from a biology class. So we are motivated to maintain homeostasis, right? We want to have this balance in our bodies. A similar idea to drive reduction is optimum arousal. And I say it's very, very similar in that if you can imagine that you could have, oh goodness gracious, you can have a desired level. Now, I can't put a number on it now because I got nothing simple to work with. You have a desired level of arousal. That is, the best example I can come up with. My wife grew up in Seoul, Korea. And I mean, that place is just a bam, bam, bam. It is moving, moving, moving. So she desires a higher level of activity and arousal in her environment. She desires higher. I grew up in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. All right? Can you imagine what Fond du Lac, Wisconsin is? Probably more cows than people, right? So here's the deal. Here is my desired level of arousal. Here's my wife's desired level of arousal. Okay? So we were living in Long Island, New York when we first got married. It is very quiet out there. I mean, they don't even have sidewalks out there. It is incredible. And I'm happy with that. We went to Manhattan. Okay? So here's the thing. This is what Long Island was providing. Okay? So it was right about where I needed it to be. We go into Manhattan. Oh my God, I cannot stress enough how much of a shithole that place is. I have no idea why anybody would ever want to visit Manhattan. It is shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I just got to get that out. And guess what happens? The moment you step off the train, Manhattan just smashes you in the face. All right? And this is what you get out of Manhattan. And so what happens is my wife gets off the train and she goes, oh, I'm home. I'm home. I'm almost having a freaking panic attack. You know, I'm just like, okay, just slow down. Everybody stop bumping me, stop pushing me, just let me, right? And so I was out of balance in the same way that we just had with drive reduction. I'm out of balance. So you know what? I'm just like, okay, I'm motivated to do things. In this case, I'm like, I just need to sit down on this bench. I need to slow down. I sit down on this bench, and a homeless guy just starts screaming at me, just in my face, that's my bench, that's my bench. Oh my God, is there anywhere I can go that this city is not just assailing me? Oh, sorry. And my daughter thinks she was going to go to school in Manhattan, and I'm like, are you kidding me? There is no way you can survive Manhattan, lady. You just can't. But so what then that means is that now my wife, when we lived in Springfield, Missouri, she was out of balance in the opposite direction in that the arousal was way below her desired level, right? So, which is why we split the difference and we live in DFW, Okay, so it's less than Manhattan, but it's more than Springfield, Missouri. Right there. All right, like that. But the biggest theory in understanding motivation, or that is to say, if I am thinking like a biology person, this is the major way I think of motivation. If I am thinking more of a non-scientific way, then I need to think about Maslow. Abraham Maslow, and we're going to return to him in the therapy chapter, probably in the personality chapter briefly. He says, I like the idea, it's not based in science at all, but I like this. And he says basically all human beings are born with a purpose. Okay? And what happens is that this purpose is going to motivate us. So every human being on the planet here has a reason for existing, a unique potential. The example is an acorn. What is the purpose of an acorn? To become an oak tree. Right? Acorns, they grow on the ground, you get an oak tree. And so an acorn has a purpose. And therefore the acorn will be motivated to achieve that purpose. Right? You have been born with a purpose, a reason for existing. But in order for you to be able to fulfill your purpose, your meaning in life, you must first satisfy these lower level needs. Okay? That is, you must satisfy your hunger and your thirst. If you're hungry and you're thirsty, these needs have no meaning to you. These are not important to you. So I remember I was watching a zombie movie once. Okay, I watched the zombie movie, forgive me. And so what happens in this movie is there's this man and this woman, they're trapped in a cabin. And every single night, even though the crazy-ass zombies are out there, the guy goes out there to find food. So in other words, he's going to bypass his safety needs because these are not met. Because these are not met, these are not important. Okay? If these are not met, these are not important. And so the key is, most people will never self-actualize. They will never find their purpose. And the reason is because we get stuck on these. Okay? We are never able to make it past these, therefore never get to find these. Now, I understand, I like this. This explains, say, for example, when my grandmother got old, she clearly had some dementia issues. She was in a facility, assisted living center or whatever. And there are different people working at one of these assisted living centers. And the thing is one person is there because it's just their passion. It's the reason for their existence. Somebody else is working there because they couldn't get any other job. Okay? They're both doing the same task, all right? But I can guarantee you, no matter how far my grandmother got in her dementia, she knew the difference between the person that was doing the job for a check and the person that had found their passion and calling in life. It was just a world apart. And to be honest, my grandma deserved to be taken care of by the person that was, passionate, that had found their calling. So in my opinion, this is just like the reason for existence. And this is another one of the reasons why so many people get caught up down here, like people that go into a pursuit of money. It's just like the only thing they consider, you're not successful if you don't make more money. What's the point of making more money? To make more money. I mean, so that you can invest it. Then what's the point of investing? To make more money. For what? To reinvest it. Where's the point at some point? You realize that once you get past your basic needs, money doesn't mean anything anymore. It's just, what is another extra dollar to somebody that's a billionaire? I mean, what is the point of another dollar? It doesn't buy anything, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't produce anything. I would argue that that person that's taking care of my grandmother because they love to do this is leading a richer life than a billionaire. Okay, they're a more important part of our society. Anyway, I gotta be careful. But this is really cool because this idea actually is it originates in Aristotle. Aristotle basically was trying to understand why things happen. And he argued that there's this force in the universe called, he used the word intellect, this force that makes it, so why does an acorn become an oak tree? Because the universe wants it to be. The universe wants your purpose to come out. And it's really a strange idea, and it was generically picked up in Star Wars when they referred to the Force in the universe. I don't know, I guess he was grasping at straws, but to imagine a hit movie franchise grabbing from Aristotle, not bad, not bad. There are other motivations out there as well, however. Of course, we've got food and water and sex and everything else. But we also have a need to belong, okay? A need to be connected, a need to be part of a group, of a community. When you take brain scans of a human being and you inflict physical pain on it, you give it an electric shock, you brain scan and take a look at it. Then you brain scan somebody that's been ostracized, somebody that's been pushed out of a group. You'll see the exact same pain registered in the brain as an electric shock. So clearly we feel this in the same way that we feel pain. Okay? Pretty powerful idea. Another interesting motivation is achievement motivation. And this is huge. Okay? That why do I come to work every day? I'll give you a secret. I mean, I can't be fired, right? I've got tenure. I mean, I can be, but it's taken off a lot. I'm promoted to the highest level I can get promoted to. I can't imagine there's really anything I do that would influence my paycheck. So why do I do it? Why do I come in and I can just cancel class anytime, right? I could be damn anything I want, but I don't, okay? Because I have an internal sense of I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. I'm doing it because it's important to my community. I'm doing it because, okay? We see that this idea is that when children are little, do you know what provides children motivation? A cookie, right? If you say please and thank you, I'll give you a cookie. Eventually, what is the job of a parent is to internalize it so that the kid is not saying please and thank you in order to receive a cookie, but because it's the right thing to do. And that's really what you have to do with your children. And it's the same thing in an educational perspective. I can tell you that some students, grades are a good motivator for students. You got that, right? Grades really help to motivate and change student performance. But there are some students, the grades don't matter. They don't really care about grades. They're doing it because they want to learn. They just want to know the material. And guess what tends to happen when they don't care about grades? They get A's. Isn't that amazing? As soon as you stop caring about the grade and just care about learning the material, the A magically follows. Okay? So it's a desire to accomplish things. It's got nothing to do with getting paid. It's got nothing to do with getting an A. It's got to do with you just do it because it feels good to do it. Okay? So, yeah, different things are attached to achievement, motivation, discipline, grit, hardiness, things of that nature. So on Tuesday, we will come back and we'll start talking about more specific motives, in particular hunger. We're going to have a very fun conversation on hunger and obesity and sex, sex, and emotions, good stuff. Okay? So I will see you then. So have a good weekend in the meantime, and I gotta grab the attendance on a few people that I missed. All right. Let's see. I will say Dorian. Didn't I see Dorian? No, Dorian. Aubrey. Dejan. Yes. Ryan Jones. Yes. And Jungwoo. Yes. Aubrey.